Let's talk about cleaning aprons. Cleaning aprons save you tons of time whenever you're cleaning a home because they have multiple uses. When I first started cleaning homes, this was actually used as my office for a while because I had my cell phone, I had my pad with my pen. I could use it for multiple things. It just serves as a place that you could carry your products on whenever you're doing your floors. You can also use it as a little waste bin. I usually line it with like a little Ziploc or something like that. But when you're going through, and a lot of times you're cleaning and you could see something, you don't want to have to stop what you're doing, go back, and then make several trips back and forth to the room. So this is like your rolling office basically, is what I say. It serves several functions. I even put tools in here so that I can grab them. It's a huge time saver. I feel lost if I don't have my apron. Anybody who uses an apron, I know they feel the same way because I've heard people say it and they love their apron. Another really handy tool that we use is a plastic scraper. Saves you loads of time because when you're dealing with things like soap scum, you'll know it's soap scum because obviously you take your fingernail, you're gonna give it the test, or take something like this. If it's gummy, it's soap scum. If it's chalky, it's usually hard water. So with soap scum, instead of you trying to use a Dobie or a non-scratchy type of pad that's gonna just kind of gum it up, you're simply gonna take something like this and you're gonna just basically slice it off. You're not gonna hurt yourself. It's plastic, has tons of usages, but when it comes to, especially in the shower part or anything, even on the floor, when you're cleaning your floor and you come across like a sticker or something gunky, when you're in the kitchen and you've got maybe it's some jelly or something like that, you're gonna waste a little bit more time again trying to scrub it off versus this will just literally slice it off, as opposed to like a razor or something like that. Let me get to our final stage, which is basically, and our most important, is gonna be, I'm gonna talk about the vacuum. I've got a couple of more things here because my original setup, it looks pretty, even though there's a lot that's in it, it's actually a pretty simple setup because it has everything that you need. And again, you can carry it all in at one time when you're going into somebody's home. High duster. I like this type of duster because you can take this off and you can launder it, wash it. I can vacuum it off. You're not wasting a bunch of money and I'm not saying they're not effective, but like the Swiffers and stuff like that. I'm not saying they're not good, but when you're cleaning people's homes and you're cleaning twice a day, you're gonna have something that's gonna be, it needs to be a little bit more reusable. Sometimes these will kind of, over time, they'll just start to kind of wear out. This is microfiber. It reaches higher, it can pivot and do basically, obviously, your high up work, your ceiling fans and stuff like that. So we carry this. I prefer, honestly, to vacuum that real good than necessarily, I don't like to launder it every single time because the more you wash it, the more it'll tend to kind of ball up and be ineffective. Our Bona, I say it's Bona, but basically there's several different mops like this that are out there. You're kind of wanting to look for something that's got the Velcro pads right here so that you can just simply, after you wet your mop pad, you put that on there and you're good to go. So we use the Bona, well this is just this one is, I say it is, but I don't think it is. It's actually, I think, a different brand. We carry a couple different brands. They're all the same. The main thing is you're wanting to make sure you get a good quality microfiber mop pad that you can reuse several times and that, like I said, will effectively do the job. Several different things I use this for. Number one, obviously floors. The other usage is you can also use it dry, and you can also use it as a little bit more extension than that and to go up really, really high if you got like a lot of dust on the walls and stuff like that. Surfaces that you cannot necessarily get to, which would be like underneath couches, underneath furniture. I have heard people have excuses like, well, my vacuum, I can't get my vacuum head to go underneath that surface, it's too narrow. This is what you would use right here. If that doesn't do it, this will do it. You can easily slide it under and get whatever you need to underneath that surface. There's really no excuse to not get underneath. Huge pet peeve for clients is not looking and getting underneath couches and furniture, because again, you're not necessarily needing to do it every single time, but you need to be aware of it and make sure you're looking and you have the product that you need to be able to do that. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. This is your money maker. This is your vacuum. We don't skimp on the vacuum. When I first started cleaning houses, I had probably a less than $50 vacuum. It was not ideal, but it was what I had because I didn't have anything to start with. So I grabbed whatever I had and used it until it basically blew up, which was not very long. Those usually last about 3 or so months. They smell, they're not high, you know, they're just not the ideal type of equipment that you're going to bring into somebody's home, especially when you're cleaning $1 million house. What I aspired to was to try to start changing over and upgrading my equipment and my supplies so that I had things that would really truly represent the brand and that would basically allow me to have the confidence. It gave me so much more confidence to have the right tools and things like that than to just kind of bring something into somebody's home that I knowingly knew was not very clean in itself. So we have for the last, I'm gonna say it's probably been at least 17 years or so, we've used the Miele brand of vacuums. The reason why we use the Miele brand of vacuums is number one, they are superior products. Miele makes high-end appliances and they've been in business for over 100 years. It's not a door-to-door sales type of thing. They have showrooms around the United States and appliance stores and things like that. So they make washers, dryers, plumbed-in coffee makers. Then they have their vacuum line. Their vacuum line is pretty extensive. This vacuum that I'm showing you is called the Home Care. It is the main model that we use whenever we're issuing a vacuum. Now we do have a couple of variations, so but for the most part, it's pretty much all the same. So when somebody new comes in, we have a new rookie cleaner that comes into our organization, we'll usually issue them what we have available, and then we later will upgrade you to something that that will best suit whatever it is you have going on. The neat thing about it is, I have got, there are a couple options on the power heads. So again, we issue our equipment and change things up as we need to, because once our people our team members get into their core group of clients, which are their regular clients, they may decide, hey, I rather have this power head versus that power head because that one's a little more bulky. I don't think I need this because most of my clients have all hardwood floors. So we can adjust things accordingly to what fits most of the customer's needs, which is a really neat option to have. But let me break this down because I think it's super important. Number one, I'm really particular about how this is kept whenever you want to keep your equipment in good condition, because again, you don't have the luxury or option of a vacuum necessarily going out on you whenever you are in somebody's home. That has been one of my biggest challenges before I came across Miele was, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I have to have a backup vacuum, and then I've had to put that one in the shop, and then blah, 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 blah. I can tell you that over the years, if you take care of the vacuum is gonna take care of you, and you need tools that work. And so this will actually allow you, the canister allows you to clean from top to bottom. Only a canister vacuum allows you to have that luxury of cleaning from top to bottom. A lot of upright vacuums, the reason why we don't use those is because they're very restrictive on what they can do as far as the cleaning into certain types of surfaces, because you've got to go high, you've got to go low, you've got to get in, you've got to have tools that are on board that you can quickly grab and switch and do that, and only a canister can give you those options. So the Miele canister comes with, this is the hood. We've got 3 different basically tools that come on board, which is awesome. This is my favorite one. It's a dusting brush. I personally like to use this brush a lot because, even when I have my apron on, I may keep it in here when I'm cleaning, but I love to use this because if I'm in a home, again, we have regular customers, but we also do a lot of one-time type of cleans, move-ins, move-outs, that kind of stuff. So if I'm in a client's home, we'll pretend that is hooked in there, and it's very, very dusty, I will put that attachment on there, and I basically go through and I can adjust my settings here, and I can lower my settings, which again is an awesome option. You don't get that with certain machines. And I can go through and dust everything before I actually hand dust everything. It makes for so much better cleaning outcome, and for you to have to actually inhale a lot of that dust, because if you're starting in an area, you're dusting and things are starting to kick up, and again, if you don't have your mask or something on, or feel like, oh gosh, I gotta put my mask on because I don't want to get a sinus infection, everything will go in here and it goes straight into the bag. This is a upholstery tool, which is awesome. We do have people that will request, hey, can you kind of just go over my sofa or something like that. Also great to have on board, because if you've got to get in certain kinds of areas that are a little bit tighter areas, you can always use this as well. And then this is a small crevice tool. But the real thing on these that makes it exceptional is the filtration. So when I'm going into a client's house, if I'm going from one client's house to another client's house, I'm not worrying about, oh my gosh, I'm cross-contaminating something, because once the dirt goes into the bag, it stays contained in the bag and it filters out. It filters at 99.9% just in the bag alone, because these are cloth bags. The air will come up through a actual HEPA filter. All of our staff has HEPA filters. This is really super important, because this air, once it comes through and it vents up, should be cleaner than the air that went into. Now I know that's a big claim, but that's why they created that the way it is. So that way, obviously, you're not gonna have dirt, you're not gonna turn the machine on and it puffs out and you're like, oh, you know, you don't realize that until you don't have to deal with it anymore, and you go, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was so bad before with my other vacuum. So you're not dealing with a lot of particles that are being emitted out of the vacuum whenever you turn it on. So the HEPA filter is an awesome add-on to the vacuum. Inside the machine is going to stay clean. So again, you're not dealing with a lot of debris that's floating around in here. This is a sealed system, which means that if something does come in here, it won't be leaking out, but we have a bypass filter right here as well to protect the motor. Once it goes into the bag, again, it stays in the bag. We had a little interesting, not say contest, but when we were having one of our meetings, we have a monthly meeting, we actually filled this thing completely full, and the bag will go completely full and it will not lose suction. I know that sounds like another brand, but this is all in the technology of how the bag gets filled, so it'll equally fill in the bag and you're not having to deal with it just got kind of clogged into one side of the bag or something like that with the airflow and stuff. So we passed this bag around and we were asking everybody, like, how much do you think this bag weighs? Because it was completely full. No debris had come out into or leaked out into it, just you could tell in the indicator light the bag was full. And it was 6 pounds is what that bag weighed. So they're pretty awesome machines. Again, I'm not worrying. That's one less thing. There's lots of things to worry about in the cleaning industry, and that's one less thing to have to worry about is, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to worry about, you know, things being transferred again from one client to another. Okay, get that down. And I'm just gonna kind of show about, get that in there. Okay. This basically is my full setup here. I've got this is one power head that sometimes we will use. It's called a smaller power head. So people are like, what is a power head versus, this is what would be called straight suction right here. So this is what we use on our hardwood floors, our hard surfaces, would be this parquet twister tool right here. I love it because it actually will twist and turn and it'll go along the baseboards and it's not just one-sided where you actually have to go back and forth like that. Like I said, it actually turns. No power goes to this piece right here, but you can see these two little I guess you could say, whatever they're called, little holes or tongs, but it will go into this power head. So in other words, this will actually turn through the electricity in the hose and turn on and spin that way. This is great if you have clients that have like just basically the same kind of flooring, and the carpets are not really plush or thick. They're just have a lot of area rugs or something like that. it's a lot less, has a lot less weight to it, so you're not having to have like a cumbersome power head or anything like that. But with that being said, I'm just gonna kind of break this out real quick. This is our big power head that but it is interesting to see who likes what, because I let everybody and our staff kind of choose what works best for them. It's because it's important that you got people that are happy with your equipment. You don't want to just issue them equipment and they go, oh, I hate it. So I give some options, and I really rely on them and their discretion on what is going to work better in the house, because they know if the client's happy, then they're happy and they're not getting calls at 7 o'clock at night that a client has a complaint about their floors. I probably should have previously pulled this out, huh? Save time. I'm getting there. Brand new out of the box. Okay. Okay, heavier power head. The nice thing about this power head is it has a neck, and it'll actually stand up so that when you're using your vacuum, you can just basically release it and it stands up like this. This does not have that capability, but the vacuum has a docking system back here, so you can always just dock it with your wand if you needed to, right in the back, and it'll stand up that way, versus this will stand up this way. This has 5 clicks, 5 is the highest, so if you have really thick carpet, versus 1 is the lowest, so you can adjust the height on here. You can adjust the height on here, and then also what's really neat about the Miele products, again, very important in what we do, is if you suck something up, it'll automatically turn there's no belts to change, so, which is huge because that was always an issue before. The belt will just, it'll stop the brush roll from spinning, and you're not gonna break a belt. So you will dislodge whatever got in there. Either that, or hopefully you have scissors or something, you can cut it, and then you're gonna reset it here, or you simply just turn the machine off and then it'll reset on this one too. So again, no belts to change or anything like that, which is a huge time saver. I'm gonna just kind of take this off here. So, again, you have the option of, hey, I can handheld clean. I can also, you've got this wand, which is awesome. You can extend the wand all the way out. You can go up high if you need to. Huge time saver. And you can adjust it accordingly to whatever it is that is suitable for you, whatever you're cleaning. Okay, now the last option that I have is going to be, it's called an air-driven power head. Kind of what I was saying before was that there's no electric that goes into this head right here. It is all, once the air turns on, it'll spin the brush. Again, you may have some of our staffs like, I really prefer this one, or I'm gonna wanna try that one. And they may start off with one, and then once they get all the regulars, they may be like, I really wanna try this one because it's so much lighter. You've gotta consider that when you have staff is, what's the wear and tear on you having to take your stuff in all the time. That's kind of how that clicks. It's a little bit smaller than this one, as you can kind of see in comparison, but does a great job. I know that there are some companies that actually mainly use something similar to that, that's just more of an air driven, like I said. As far as anything else on the machine, there is a rewindable cord right here, so once you plug it in and you're ready to unplug, you always turn the machine off before you unplug the machine so that you don't surge the power. You don't want to ever just go to the socket and unplug it without powering this off first. You're going to ruin the motor eventually, or something weird could happen. It can surge your motor. Your motor is your most expensive and most important thing. You want to keep it running, but it will actually wind on its own just like this. The biggest thing that I see with these is, especially if you're taking a vacuum in and out of a house, you want to make sure that you look under the hood and make sure this, you can even kind of see, if you really look at it, it's not clicked in all the way. So you want to make sure it's clicked in. If it's not clicked in, you could run the risk of debris getting into this area. If you catch it, it's not a major crisis. You want to make sure it's clean. There's a bypass filter right here that protects the motor. But if you keep cleaning and cleaning and cleaning and cleaning, and you keep doing that time and time again, and it's a repetitive issue, then you're gonna have it's gonna be an issue to try to keep your motor clean. Once your motor, any motor, it doesn't matter if it's this vacuum or anything, they don't like dirt. So when dirt gets in there, it starts to obviously short circuit the motor. And that's when it's a costly issue. Okay. That is our Miele vacuum. We are going to basically show you once we get into the surfaces that we'll be cleaning, all of these things will come together, because this is just kind of, again, a sampling of what we use in our business when we go to residential homes, and even some like commercial stuff. We also do new constructs and things like that. The real education is going to be when we get hands-on and we really break it down into each segment, into each room, and then we show you, this is what we use here, this is what we use here, this is in this situation, because it's a lot to take in when you're talking about different power heads and this versus that and all that stuff. This is just segment 1. There's about 10 more to go. We're gonna talk about pricing, we're gonna talk about process, like I said, we're gonna talk about how to deal with customers, different situations that you come across. There is no real, necessary book to go through every scenario that you're ever gonna come across. There's things that I see now that I thought, oh, I've seen it all. In 21 years, I've seen everything. And then you see something that you've never come across. So it's hours and hours and hours of, even just the basics take hours. So that's why I love what we do as a company, because we don't just try to throw you out and go, okay, good luck, I hope it works out. We really try to educate you so that when you're in a situation and you come across something that you feel confident that you're able to address the situation, you know what you're talking about. There has been a level of professionalism that's come into play in the last few years that was not there before 20-something years ago. When I got in, there was one book that was available, and actually that book has been redone, I say redone, but republished, I believe, and that book has really set the tone for what professionals are doing today, because it shows you an organized way that you can go into a home and that you can effectively clean it. You're not just there trying to rush through. You've got your processes, you've got your equipment. It also talks about things that you're going to be dealing with. What are the most common things that people complain about? We'll be talking about all those stuff in the upcoming episodes that we're going to be doing, so that you feel like you've got the whole package of how CleanFreaks works. So thanks everybody for your time.